Welcome to another exciting episode of the Super Awesome Geek Show. This is the YouTube channel for our show. You can also join our podcast on iTunes or just go to superawesomegeekshow.com. So today I watched Season 3, the finale, Rebels. Totally awesome. Thrawn, Price, Constantine versus Syndulla, Dodonna, and Sato. Who will win? So I'm in the process of moving to Florida. So a lot of the apartment is in chaos. I packed away all my video equipment, so you don't get to see my ugly mug today. You'll just get me talking, just like the last video. Star Wars Rebels, Season 3 finale. 0 Hour. Kind of an appropriate title. I think it's pretty interesting that it starts out with Thrawn coming in his shuttle. A shuttle. It's a standard Imperial shuttle. He doesn't get a special one. It's interesting to note that there are death troopers by him as he comes off the shuttle. I think it's pretty cool that it's, the day after the release of Rogue One on digital. We all watched the Voodoo viewing party last night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Pretty cool. That was a lot of fun. If you haven't done one, I highly recommend doing it. So it's kind of neat anyway that you see death troopers right after Rogue One comes out. I'm wondering if the death troopers are going to be like, if now on in the lore, they're going to be like given to priority targets, priority commanders, generals, moffs, grand admirals, directors, whatever have you, as their guard, like a bodyguard, honor guard kind of thing. They are the special forces, the elite forces of the Empire. So it seems only reasonable that they would be guarding, kind of like the Secret Service does. They guard special people, but they don't necessarily are on the ground in the fight unless they have to be. I love the imposing music, by the way. And then we have a moment with Fulcrum. He's using mouse droids to spy on the Imperial leadership. And at this point in the show, I was just kind of like, uh-oh, Fulcrum. Uh-oh, Callus. You're going to get caught. Don't be like... We see Tarkin. They talk about Dodonna. Yay! The urgent news. Thrawn brings up some urgent news. And I'm wondering if it is a plan coming together to stop the rebels. They talk several times about TIE defenders. The rebels are going to plan to attack the TIE defender manufacturing facility. I know we've seen TIE defenders a couple times in the show so far, so I'm really hoping that this means we will get a TIE defender toy, or Lego, or both. Come on, Hasbro. Come on, Lego. We get to the point where we see Chopper Base. You notice that Ezra's ship, the Mandalorian ship that he stole from Maul, is here. You can see it in the background in many shots. Apparently they are now calling it the Gauntlet, which I think is pretty cool. Hasn't been repainted yet, but I'm hoping they might do that and personalize it for Ezra. Sabine comes back in this episode, so maybe with Sabine back, she can take some time out and repaint it. But it's like Ezra and them are finally bringing them all together. The rebellion is becoming, instead of a scattered group of cells with a few ships here and there, they're forming together to become one big rebellious fleet. There's an important scene here between Ezra and Kanan. Kanan is a little bit feeling bad about his teaching to Ezra because his teaching wasn't complete. And he's kind of like, if my teaching wasn't complete, I can't fully train you. So I hope I've done the best I could and you've gotten out of it what, you needed. And Ezra says, what you've taught me is how to be a good person. And all the Force teachings in the world can't make you a good person, So maybe this means that Ezra won't turn dark. He's walked that line, but he could end up being a good person. The fleets meet! And Y-Wings launch. I'm wondering, are these the same Y-Wings they stole from Steps into Shadow? Could be linking it to another previous episode in Rebels. I think it's interesting that Callus goes to Ezra's old home as Fulcrum, and then he's captured, of course. by Thrawn, because Thrawn knows what's going on. Takes him back to his place. X marks the spot. They found Atollon. Thrawn is such a great tactician. He's like, study their art, study the enemy, and you can know where they are. To me, this secret location kind of looks like a cactus crossed with a torch. Or maybe it's just a cactus on fire. So we're at Chopper Base on Atollon, and they get the message to evacuate because the Imperials are coming, and the fight begins. Maybe this is when they go to Yavin 4, but I was just curious about how Dantooine fits into the whole thing. I know they've mentioned it a couple times in Rebels, and they've met there once. And in Star Wars A New Hope, we hear them say, we found Dantooine, sir, but appears to be the remnants of a rebel base. It's been deserted for some time. Something like that, right? So I'm starting to think that it never actually was a full-on rebel base. Maybe it was like one cell had a spot there for a little bit of time, and they used it that one time in the Rebel show. I forget which episode that was. It looks like they went straight to Yavin 4. So that's been their main base until A New Hope, where, they find it with the Death Star. They just have to keep moving around. The Empire finds every single base. They find Chopper Base on Atollon. They find Yavin 4. And then they have to move to Hoth. They find that. And then I guess they stay in space. They amass near Sullust, right? What's pretty cool is in one of the flybys, they start talking about different groups and different squadrons and everything. And I hear them at one point say the Masasi group, which also ties back to Yavin 4. The Masasi with these weird-looking red guys. So Thrawn and the rebellion meet. There's no surrender. He wants utter defeat for the rebels. But the rebels say they can get a ship through and call reinforcements to outflank the Empire and escape. So Ezra takes on this mission aboard the Gauntlet, while Kanan goes out to visit Bendu and warn him, ask for help. Bendu's an interesting character here, because he refuses to help Kanan. And he says, you have brought war to my quiet world. He's the one in the middle. He doesn't want to take sides. He's unseen. He's unknowable. And he says, no wonder. Do you think it was chance that this planet was so difficult to find? Now, this thing hints at something where powerful Force users can block the ability for other users to sense them. And now, clearly, Bendu has been doing that. We knew Yoda was somehow doing that on Dagobah. And then Chancellor Palpatine, as his rise to Emperor Palpatine, must have been doing that as well. So some of these extremely powerful Jedi, or Force users I should say, have a way that baffles all other Force users in how they can block the ability to be sensed by other Force users. Do you get what I'm saying? So Bendu is the third character we've met that has been able to block the Force sensitivity. I love seeing fighters launch. I just want to add that in there. I someday want to see like an epic space battle that's just like all in space. Like no movie, nowhere has ever done a space battle film where it's just all in space. I think Star Trek Wrath of Khan is the closest one, but that's only involves really two ships. It's like a cat and mouse game of those two ships throughout at least half, if not 3/4 of that film. And that's what I want. It's proven that it can be done. If it can be done between two ships, then it can be done between millions of ships. And I want a movie where at least 3/4 to, if not all of it, is space battles, man. I mean, there's no good sci-fi space battle film. And I know it's because of cost and budget and how much it would be to make a film like that. But it's got to get to a point now where it's cheap enough to do that. So let's do it. It's time. Star Wars, space battle, something or other, a Star Wars story. It could be one of the spin-offs. Anyway, back to 0 Hour. Thrawn tells Constantine to hold back during the battle. I think Constantine is such a fool. This guy is like the worst. How did he even get to this point? He is the worst Imperial commander of any of them. How did he even... It's like he's like one of those guys where they were like, this guy's such an idiot. We have to promote him just to get him out of our department. Like they do that in corporations. So they must have done that in the Empire. They just kept raising him up. because no one wanted him to work with, and now Thrawn sees why. He's gonna follow the whole thing up. He's just a stupid idiot. Hammerheads from Rogue One. I love seeing those. Commander Sato makes a tough decision, and 2 of his crew heroically stay with him just to draw Constantine out. This fool, this idiot. And this is where the Empire starts to ruin Thrawn's plan. Now, I say the Empire starts to ruin Thrawn's plan because, like I said, Constantine, being such the fool that he is, he breaks formation, goes for the rebel Sato's ship, basically. And in doing so, that's exactly what Sato wanted. Draw Constantine's ship out. Sato's going to sacrifice himself. And that's it. 1 interdictor down. It lets Ezra get through, but Sato and Constantine are no more. They have been rammed to death and blown up. They're fragments of space dust. Stardust, if you will. I guess I shouldn't really use that reference, but anyway. But it gives Ezra his escape and the rebels return to base. Bendu sees it, but he does nothing. Bendu just leaves spectacularly. Ezra asks for Mon Mothma's help, but there is none. So he decides the only thing to do is to go to Mandalore and Sabine. And that ends part 1 of 0 Hour. 0 Hour part 2 starts with them trying to get up a shield generator on Chopper Base. Now this thing looks like a prototype for the aerial bombardment shield generator that they used on Hoth. We saw a larger version of this on Hoth with the rings, the loops there. And I think this is a pretty cool nod to future events. And it's also showing how they develop the technology as they go. So this stuff just doesn't appear out of nowhere. The rebels are actually actively working on things and building up a defense, and a strategy. Hopefully this shield will hold. It does, but in my opinion, just in time. Ezra on Mandalore pleads for help. Saxon is causing a civil war, but reluctantly they help because Sabine, her charm wins over the day, and she convinces them all to help. Sabine goes. I imagine Fenral and a few others. It seems like there might be like 6 or 7, I think I counted, of the Mandalorian ships that go to Ezra's aid and help the rebellion. Their plan is to take out the interdictor. The interdictors have gravity wells. That is why the ships cannot flee in space. Thrawn leaves Price to take care of this, and he takes the ground forces down to Chopper Base. But Kallus warns Thrawn before he goes not to underestimate the rebels, because as Kallus knows, and Constantine knows, although now he's dead, that all these crafty Phoenix Squad rebels seem to get themselves out of any mess. And it's basically because of Ezra and a little bit of Kanan, because they're both Jedi, and Jedi get themselves out of situations. If Thrawn weren't fighting 2 Jedi, maybe the Empire's forces would not have thwarted this battle and caused stupidity to lose the day. The battle, there's a lot of things that remind me of various other elements of the Star Wars saga. When Rex looks through the viewfinder, it reminds me of the, battle on Hoth. These are little walkers, We've spotted Imperial walkers on the North Ridge. I like how Thrawn is in an Imperial command helmet. Do we get an action figure? Hint, hint. I just want toys of everything, don't I? But I guess as you can see from my YouTube channel that there's toy reviews and spotlights on all the time. Maybe we'll get a Thrawn figure where we can take the helmet on and off and the chest piece can slide on and off over his head. Because that chest piece reminds me a lot of General Veers and what we saw when he was taking command of the AT-ATs on Hoth. Actually, this suit looks very familiar. It seems just like a white version of General Veers' outfit. His armor. AT-AT walkers make it through. Nothing can stop them. But Kanan can. The tide starts to turn. We see a storm on the horizon. What could that be? And the Mandalorians show up. This is the failure of Governor Price. I think Thrawn, again, he only loses because of the incompetence of the Empire and those that are in charge under him. Because as we can see, no, the tide is not turning. Thrawn has captured Phoenix Squad and Dodonna. The rebellion is finished. But Bendu! Yes, that could be a new phrase. But Bendu. He appears, but not the way we might want. It seems like he is attacking both sides. Bendu wants both sides destroyed and off his planet. But Thrawn... Hey, 2-1B medical droid. We see the interdictor, the last one, blow up. Thanks, Mandalore. We appreciate it, you know. Kallus gets picked up. He jumps out of a Star Destroyer in an escape pod. And maybe now he apparently has fully joined the rebellion. Or is it just a plan of Thrawn's? Could Fulcrum and Kallus have been in on it all along? We'll find out in Season 4. I want to go back to the Bendu just for a second here before we close up. It's interesting that he says you cannot see. Like, Thrawn doesn't understand what Bendu is and what Bendu represents, because Thrawn doesn't understand the Force that much, because he is not a Force user. Bendu says you cannot see, and then he disappears when Thrawn apparently kills him. So it kind of reminds me of, you can strike me down and I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. So could Bendu have become one with the Force, and maybe in a future episode we will see a Bendu Force ghost? He gives Thrawn one last warning before this episode ends. I see many arms surrounding you in a cold embrace. Warning of Thrawn's death and defeat. Or maybe just his defeat. This episode, 2-parter, 1-hour show of Star Wars Rebels, 0 Hour, the Season 3 finale, was fantastic. Was super awesome. I want to thank Disney XD for showing it. Thanks Disney for putting it together. Thanks Lucasfilm, Dave Filoni, Pablo Hidalgo, all you guys for keeping everything straight and in order. The ties, the nods to other things, the way the universe is coming together as a whole. We're seeing elements from the prequels combined with elements of the classic saga going into looking forward with Force Awakens and the new trilogy. Filling in the gaps with Star Wars stories that fit in the middle, like Rogue One. Notice we saw that the clone tank, that big armored, what is it? Did it have 6 or 8 wheels? I think it had 8 wheels, right? No, maybe it had 10 wheels. But we see that transport on the prison planet in Rogue One, you know, connecting the prequels to Rogue One. And just all these different things coming together. I can't wait to see the fate of all of the guys on the crew, the Phoenix Squadron itself. And looking forward to Season 4. Well, hey guys, thanks a lot for watching another super awesome Geek Show video on YouTube about Star Wars Rebels. I might make a habit of this, since I get to watch it early in the mornings Saturdays. I can do these videos and have them up and ready for you by the time the show airs for most people. Alright, thanks for watching. Join our podcast. Go to iTunes, look for Super Awesome Geek Show. Find us at www.superawesomegeekshow.com and follow us on Twitter at Awesome Geek Show. Have a great day out there. Keep it geeky. See ya.